It is the SMT Media Network today with an NFL video for you guys here today. First part of the NFL's divisional round. And we had some games. We had Texans versus Chiefs, and we had Lions versus Commanders. And the outcomes, kind of sort of what we expected, I think, for at least the Kansas City-Houston game, but not what I expected from the Lions and the Commanders. Let's start first with the Chiefs getting the victory at home against Houston 23-14. This game, as I kind of alluded to in the intro of the video, I think this one played out like we thought it would. Patrick Mahomes was efficient. He had like 177 yards passing on 25 attempts, threw a TD, got sacked 3 times. CJ Stroud, different day. 0 TDs, 0 picks, threw the ball 28 times for 245 yards, but got sacked 8 times. So the pressure on him, obviously much more impactful to the game. On the ground, Kansas City's rushing game, it was effective. All right, nothing crazy, but Kareem Hunt carried the ball 8 times. He was your rushing leader, 44 yards and a TD. Isaiah Pacheco got some carries, 5 for 18, so nothing crazy there. But that was basically it. You know, the Chiefs got out ahead and kind of just, were coasting, I guess, kind of relying on their defense to keep the Texans honest. And, Joe Mixon carried the ball 18 times, got 88 yards on the ground with a TD. But when you're down, the natural tendency is to throw the ball. And I think CJ Stroud had some scrambles, 6 carries for 42 yards. But really the difference maker was, Kansas City. When they got into the red zone, they scored, right? So Travis Kelce got a TD, 7 receptions on 117 yards. Very productive day for him. The second leading receiver for the Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, 5 catches, 45 yards. But that was pretty much it. Nothing really eventful happened. DeAndre Hopkins held without a catch. I don't know. There was a target to Juju Smith-Schuster. Nothing. He's become very, very quiet on that roster. Not much going on there. And then with respect to Houston, I think the Chiefs deserve some credit holding Nico Collins to just 5 receptions. Right? That's pretty good. This guy's capable of blowing up. He's a very good player. 81 yards receiving for him. Dalton Schultz got you 4 catches for 63 yards. Hutchinson got you 4 catches for 52. And that's pretty much it. Joe Mixon added a couple of catches for 12 yards in the receiving game. But this game was pretty much predicated on the fact that the Chiefs' defense made life difficult and challenging on CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud ends the season, not a great one. Follow up to last year, we had a very, very good year, and the Texans overachieved. So it's not bad to lose to the Chiefs. They're pretty much a lock for the AFC Championship game. It runs through KC per usual. So just too much. I think in the case of, the Texans, it's just too tough a task. The Chiefs are just too good. All right, now where things get a little more dynamic and interesting, Lions versus Commanders. This did not play out like I thought it would. I would say that this game was lost by the Lions. I want to give the credit to the Commanders for what I think is a very good game plan and just sticking to the belief that they can win. Because based on the opening of the game, you would have thought, this is going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show. And the Lions are going to run away with this game. That just did not happen. Jared Goff was sacked twice, but ended up throwing 3 picks and had at least 1 fumble. I have to go back and rewatch some of the second half. But you just turnover machine, 23 of 40 passing, 313 yards, but just the absolute ineffective nature of what he was trying to do. Indiscriminate picks, just off the line. His throws were off. Decision making. Some people are blaming play calling. I mean, can you make the throws? He clearly did not. Jaden Daniels, very different. Very clean game for him. 0 sacks. I don't think he had any turnovers. He threw for almost 300 yards. On the ground, Jahmyr Gibbs had 80 yards of total offense in the first quarter. He had 50-some yards rushing. He had 30 yards receiving. He had TDs. He was phenomenal. And they went away from him and they took some chances. And Jared Goff threw picks. He missed J-Mo on a 60-yard bomb. Not by much, but he did miss. And then the Lions were on their heels once they gave up the lead and were down by a couple of scores, and it made things challenging. The Commanders kept scoring. Right? Brian Robinson ran the ball very effectively. 15 carries, 77 yards, 2 TDs. Jaden Daniels actually rushed for 51, so he was making some pretty solid scrambling plays, extending drives. And Austin Eckler was effective. 6 carries for 47 yards. And then in the passing game, the receiving game, Zach Ertz got you a TD. He got targeted in the red zone. Eckler, 4 and 41. Terry McLaurin had a huge game-breaking deep ball play where he just burned everybody, turned on the Jets and scored on a long TD. And then De'Ami Brown got you 6 receptions for almost 100 yards, 98 yards on 8 targets. Just a different situation here. Commanders were in control of the game. The Detroit receivers may or may not have been open throughout the night, but Jared Goff just wasn't getting it together. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8 receptions for 137 yards on 10 targets. Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 targets. Obviously, they were down for most of the game. And then Sam Laporta was targeted heavily, 7 targets, 6 catches for 51 and a TD. Jameson Williams, his touchdown came on I don't know if it was like some kind of a jet sweep or something, but it was like a 60-yard TD. He was only targeted 4 times by Jared Goff, 1 reception for 19 yards. So really not a characteristic game of the Lions, who were literally on fire this season. So the outcome of this game, surprising, because we have seen the Lions really execute and blow teams out. When they're on, they're one of the hardest teams to beat in the league, and the Commanders, outside of the first quarter, had full control of this game, and they made the Lions look different than they did all year. So I want to give a shout out to the Washington Commanders for playing a solid game and just taking the fight to the Lions after the first quarter. But I think the onus goes on the coaching staff. I think a lot of the injuries on defense caught up to the Lions. I think a lot of the onus of the outcome of the game also falls on Jared Goff. Right, the inability to make the right throws, the right reads, just making too many mistakes. I'm pretty sure he had at least 4 turnovers. You can't win like this. You ain't Patrick Mahomes, and you don't have that kind of wiggle room. You're not that good. And he had a great year. But this is a bad ending to the season for the Lions. Really disappointing. I was very high on the Lions from a personal standpoint. So this really hurts. That was my team that I was hoping would represent the NFC, but it's going to be someone else. And, a lot of people are saying it's going to be the Eagles now, and who knows? They play today, but the Lions, I think, lost this game as much as the Commanders played great. So I want to give it like a 50-50 split. But yeah, that was the Saturday games. We got the Sunday games today. Stick around for more videos. We'll cover that as it comes. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next video.